Did it go? It's loading. Did you make it load faster?
It only takes like 2-3 seconds.
Sounds like the old modem dial up modem process.
Exactly. Those took 15 minutes.
I know. Okay.
We're now
We're
getting
high
more and
speed.
more impatient.
Yeah, I know,
Nice.
I know. All right, we're gonna call to order the budget meeting for October 6th. You got everybody that's here? Yes, good, okay. So I don't have to go through that. Public comments, I don't say public comment. Okay, so we will move on to item 4, which is first approve the minutes for the special budget meeting.
Motion to approve.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Update on American Rescue Plan Act. Eric, is that you?
That is me. Before we talk about the following items, just to give you a quick snapshot of where we are today. You go to the second slide. So just as a highlight reminder, we received about $8.3 million several years ago in American Rescue Plan Act funds. We had to obligate all the funds by last December, which we did do. The last action that the council took back on December 2nd was to designate safety personnel in the general government services category to go ahead and use staff for that purpose, for that category. We must spend all the money by December 31st, 2026. So out of the 8.3 million that we've received, we spent about 7.1 million of that for June 30, 2025. Again, some of the bigger items are the underground storage tank, which we did last fiscal year, the Gregory Garden Storm Drain project, which we did at the beginning of ARPA. We have about $1.2 million left. We're going to talk about both the City Hall Pond Fountain project later in the agenda. The digital document accessibility project, again, we're going to talk about that later in the agenda today. The planning ADU consulting services, that's the work that Troy and his team did in having those plans ready for ADU projects. That was done, I think our last check that we wrote was in May of 2025 of this year. There's about $21,000 left of that, and we'll touch on that later in the agenda. The backup generator project, again, you council approved that back last for November 2024. Talked with, and sounds like we are going to get them, order them, hopefully get them by April, November, March, April.
So the plans have finally been approved. We gave them the go-ahead to order both generators. There's about a 6-month lead time on both of them. And as soon as they arrive, we'll install them. So that,
Pay for them.
Well,
Which is
yes.
the important part.
and so, but when I say the heavy lifting has been done, all the plans, all the permits, all the things, that's all been done. And now they're gonna order them and then they'll put them in.
Does that include the piece that Rec and Park is paying us back?
That's the money without the record part.
That's my,
That's what
that's
that-
just,
okay,
that's
that's our portion.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, what we're trying to do as much as we possibly can, the goal was, even though we have till December 31st, 2026, as I kind of mentioned to council and to the budget committee in the past, I'm trying to spend as much of it this calendar year, as much of it I possibly can. And part of that is just the tone by the federal government. As in the past, when ARPA first rolled out, I don't want to say it was lax, but it was more of, hey, yes, we'd like you to spend it, just give us updated information. Changing in administration, the tone has been more like, we really want, if you don't spend it, we really want the money back. So again, we've obligated everything, but again, I'd rather have just spent it all and there's nothing to get back, is the goal. Again, if it's not on this list at this point, there's nothing we can add to it. The obligation deadline was last year, there's nothing new. We can move money between the different projects that we have left, but that's all we can do at this point. That's really the recap to give us a base before we get to the next two agenda items. Unless there's additional questions that you may have.
Okay, we've got the
I see that on the, yeah, the budget for the next items include digitization and planning, so that's, yeah. No questions.
That's it. Yeah, this is just an informational item.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is the reallocation of City Hall Pond and Fountain Rehabilitation Project, ARPA funds to the ARPA Government Services category.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're already laughing, I haven't even
I know, I'm
started.
sorry.
Okay.
I
So,
like all the props you always do.
well, it's been a minute since we've seen the overall pond project, so I thought that I would bring the big plan and you guys can remember what we are doing. So just to recap, the City Hall Pond and Fountain Rehab Project isn't included as a funded project in the current approved 24-29 capital improvement plan. We went out to bid last October, and we did in fact award the project to the parent low bidder on December 2nd at the December 2nd meeting. The low bidder did not sign the agreement, and the resulting lawsuit from him for the low bidder not signing the agreement has prevented us from rebidding the project at this time. So because of that, the project was partially funded with $870,000 worth of ARPA funds that had to be obligated by last year, right, spent by next year. So I'm gonna make sure I get the number right. $230,467 was spent of the ARPA funds on design. That leaves us a balance of $639,532 that are not obligated. And as Eric just said, we can't re-obligate them to another project. So we are recommending that the remaining ARPA funds get reallocated to the government services category, which has already been established. It's designated for personnel assigned to police and maintenance workers. And those expenditures generally come out of the general fund. And we are additionally asking that since the ARPA funds will be reassigned to cover general fund expenditures, an equivalent amount of general fund monies go back into the pond project so that we can complete the work.
Do they have to, the general fund money, do they have to be set aside into a capital fund, or do they just?
Correct, so what we would do is, yes, we would transfer assuming you recommended council approve, we would transfer the $639,000 out of the general fund into the capital projects fund, which is where the fund, we're tracking the cost for that project,
Okay.
for the pond project.
May I ask a question first? Upon, are there opportunities for us to phase that project out instead of transferring all the funds at this point in time? Are there specific areas on, let's say in your plan, that has to be addressed now?
Well, so what we started to do in engineering already is, we did get the go-ahead from the city attorney's office to start moving forward with any necessary rebidding that we can. Part of the project funds came from Fund 308, which is the old Fund 20, for capital improvements of our buildings. We were going to redesign the HVAC for the community rooms because currently right now they are dependent on fountain. And so we've already started moving forward with pulling that work out of the project and have that work get done this winter because we really can't be under construction until October of next year.
So that's a separate amount then?
Well, it's already budgeted, we're just gonna move it out. So that, when we talk about phasing, that's one thing that we've done. So now I'm glad I brought my phone. Because
I do like regional.
so in terms of phasing for the rest of it, the hard part is that the whole system right now is one system. Okay. And so just really quick, there's a 12-inch draw that goes into the mechanical room. So it comes out of Big Lake, goes in here, comes down to the fountain, right? And then gets circulated around back into the big pond. So it's one big system. So there's really no way to phase. So the new
This would
design.
be like the main.
Right, so the new design though is going to be to separate the koi pond from the big lake. This is gonna be a chlorinated lake so that everybody that comes to City Hall can enjoy a nice clean lake. This is gonna be where the koi pond goes. And this is gonna be a new land bridge that separates the fountain, the big lake, and the koi pond. So we're basically reducing down the size of the koi pond. At the same time, that allows us to reduce down the amount of maintenance that has to be done to keep the koi pond clean, right? So once we start that process, there's 6 pipes that come under here, there's pipes that go here, and there's pipes that go under here. So once we actually start the whole process, there's
Yeah.
really no way to start and stop.
Okay.
Because
But it
it's,
sounds like it's gonna be independent though, each of these locations
Well, we're
that
working-
they're after.
we're gonna be working with a mechanical engineer to see the best way to phase the work. when we cleaned the pond last time in 2010, we plugged these 6 pipes and separated this pond from this pond.
Okay.
We moved all the fish over there while we drained this, right? Cleaned it, filled it back up, then we moved all the fish back while we did that part. But it still all has to operate as one system, or you're going to have, like, if we, say we did this part last, you're gonna have a big ugly fountain with broken tile, and it really becomes almost an eyesore, in that kids are gonna wanna climb in it, kids are gonna wanna jump on it, right? It's just this big, it looks like a big playground. And because of our restrictions for when we can do the work, it would be a year between each phase that you're looking at. I don't even know if we could just do this and wait till next year to do that. I don't know mechanically if that makes sense. In my mind, we would have to separate, move the koi here so we don't kill them.
Yeah.
Right? And then we would just, to phase it, do we just leave it? Because this would already be drained to move the fish.
Yeah.
I think the best thing, and even the sidewalk, because we're gonna be replacing all the broken tile through there.
Yeah.
Even that work has to coincide here because there's all these pipes that go under here that need to be replaced and these pipes that need to be replaced. So there's not really a way, other than pulling the HVAC out, to phase it unless we wanted to leave something dry and empty.
And it would be the big lake you're saying.
In
the
my mind,
sidewalk.
it would be the big lake because we
Rather
would
than-
wanna drain this, move the fish here, get all that work done.
Yeah.
Right? But in order to separate these, right, in order to separate these, first the fish have to stay here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at funding wise, if it's a possibility for us to do that, then yes, it may be an eyesore for a while. I mean, all construction is a bit of an eyesore, but having to not allocate all the funds.
But how would you, to phase it to?
Well, I don't know, that's technically in engineering world or mechanics world, but hearing, it sounds like it's gonna be independent, each of these sections ultimately. Right now, they all run through the same pipes according to what I'm hearing from Anne. But they will run independently thereafter.
This will have its own mechanical system and this will have its own mechanical system.
Yeah, so the pond itself has its own separate.
Right.
And then these two will be set, so which means that there could be a possibility for us to just phase it where we do the lake and the pond. Oh, we can't, because we're gonna kill
No.
the fish. We gotta keep the fish alive first and then pause the.
Yeah, but pause till when?
You know, because honestly, once we drain this,
Yeah.
now we have to clean it. And that's gonna be one of the biggest costs, right? So in my mind, and again, we're gonna let the mechanical guy tell me.
Yeah.
In
I
order
don't
to
know
move,
the
in order to move the fish here and separate this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to block this off, fish live here, right? While we do this and we reestablish the koi pond, right? Then we work on the fountain. Then when that's all up and functioning, we move the fish over here so we can work on this part. I don't know that we would actually be saving any money to ask a contractor to wait.
Yeah, that was
You know,
my
that's
question.
because they're gonna have to mobilize twice, they're gonna have to touch the fish twice. I think the way we're thinking about it, let's get all the HVAC done first, all the prep work done first, that anything we can do right now before this starts. Because our window would be to go out to bid again in August, so that, it's the end of October that off the grid's over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so at end of October, we want them in construction in November, so that by the time the summer concert series and all of that stuff starts up in May, this is up and functioning, or at least up and functioning enough that people can sit on the lawn. I think it's a big liability for us to have this whole area blocked off
Mhm.
when we're having all the events on the lawn that we have on the lawn. I don't want people climbing in here, I don't want people climbing over here.
Yeah.
And I think even the cost of maintaining that, right, to keep it all blocked off, to keep it safe, would be a cost, right? So I don't necessarily think that, I think once we pull the trigger and go, we just go.
Well, and actually, this is pared back already. There is
Yes.
a phase 2 already. That's in addition to this, that includes some sitting areas and some other stuff that we pared back in order to reduce the original cost, and that's a phase 2 for a later point in time.
Okay.
That we can or cannot do depending on funding, so we've already cut down this into at least 2 phases already for that purpose.
So as Mayor Noack said, when we move into the next phase, we had talked about having a donor wall and people being able to budget for seating, and that's a much bigger ask, right? Where we would spend a significant amount of time coming up with trying to get people, like we did at the library, to buy outdoor seats and to buy outdoor placards.
Yeah.
So there was a subcommittee that sat on the design phase of 2 council members. And so we did actually pull a lot of that work already. This is really just cleaning the pond, separating the ponds, and reestablishing the mechanical for the 2 ponds. And so one of the things that engineering is looking at right now, the initial design was done by Robert Nebelon, who's an architect, and he is a brilliant architect and he gives a beautiful design, but he's not a mechanical engineer. And so we are taking, now that we've got the go-ahead from the city attorney's office, have the mechanical engineer take a look at it and see if there's a way. When I say phase, I don't mean phase like over a 5-year, but right now the original design calls for us to take the fish and putting in holding tanks.
You're talking phasing of work.
Yes.
versus
Phasing of work,
of
phasing
financial.
of-
But
yeah,
the-
financial,
It's
yeah.
just-
But the reason that's important is I think if we mechanically phase it correctly, we'll see a cost savings.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with my, right now, the plans call for them to put the fish in holding tanks in the parking lot. And- Well, he's not a mechanical guy, and so one of the things we're meeting with them about, in 2010, when we cleaned the pond, like I said, we moved all the fish over here while we worked here, then we moved them back. So we're gonna meet, we've got the HVAC going forward, our next step is to meet with the mechanical engineers, not to give us an overhaul of the final concept, because that was voted on by council, you know, the 2
Yeah.
systems and the whole
Yeah.
bit, but is there a way, and we wanna meet also with Concord Feed, who are our fish experts, is there a way to internal in the project, phase the work mechanically, so it makes more sense, it moves smoother, and we see a cost savings for that.
Sounds good, thanks for clarifying as well. the
Glad I brought my
steps, but
prop.
yeah, no, it's really helpful to see. So what I'm hearing is it sounds like we should at least encumber the funds for now, or set aside the funds for the project, and if we see a cost savings at this point in time through your extensive conversation with the mechanic and what did you call them?
The fish guy,
The
Concord
fish
Feed.
guy.
Concord Feed.
The Concord Feed folks, then we may be able to put back some of the general funds.
To the general fund, yeah.
Yeah, so what we're really voting on is to move the ARPA
Right.
funds to the general fund.
Yes,
And then our general fund will go into the construction project, so that's what we're voting on today, is to move it out of ARPA.
yeah, I was just
ARPA
thinking,
rescue
I
funds.
was just wondering if I can maybe have them full amount into it on project, if there was opportunity for us to
Oh, yeah,
financially, that is.
yeah.
But it doesn't sound like it's something that, because we're talking about the
Yeah.
HVAC system, talking about independently shifting these
Right.
mechanically areas for the lake,
Yeah.
the pond, and the fountain.
The fountain,
Yeah.
What's the current state of the pond and the lake area right now? Like, is it in desperate? need?
oh god, yes. So there's no real funding for, let me back up a minute, if we would decide we weren't gonna do anything but clean the pond,
Yeah,
we would probably spend close to $1 million doing that. The last time we cleaned it was in 2010, and that cost us close to 4. And the process involves us, again, moving the fish, draining the big pond, cleaning out all the fish sludge at the bottom of the pond. It has to go to a specially treated digester. You know, all the water has to get drained to the sewer through a certain permit that we get from the sewer district, then we fill it back up. And that's not including any of the, when we cleaned the pond in 2010, it was a straight maintenance project. And so we didn't dig up the sidewalk. Those pipes that feed the pond have been there since the pond was built, 1984.
okay,
And so we use well water. We use water from our well. We know it's hard water. There's all sorts of chemicals. So those 2-inch pipes probably have an inch of scale around them.
Yeah.
And so in 2010, we ran acid through them to try to burn away as much as we can.
Oh.
I don't know if that's even viable anymore, 15 years later, because the pipes are already compromised from the
Yeah.
first round. And so just from that standpoint alone, the other part of the project that we really need to do is replace the sidewalk that runs from the parking lots to the building. Those tiles that are there, the decorative tiles, have been in place since we were built. They're cracked. We've done a bunch of research and engineering. You can't get the color anymore. They're not ADA compliant because they don't have the grid on to be slip resistant. They're cracked, they're broken. So one of the things that we talked about, and I think we landed on with the subcommittee, is we're going to create a map and a database on our website where people can go find their tile. We're first gonna reach out to anybody that we can still get a hold of, see if they wanna come get their tile. But if they can't, because, you know, people love their tile, we're gonna put something on our website. We're not putting them back on the ground. So that whole sidewalk, it needs to be replaced. It's really a trip hazard. So that's a big deal. In terms of a big deal, it's a safety issue, right? The
Yeah.
water is filthy in my mind. Every time I see somebody touching the water, I cringe, right? Like, and there's probably a foot of fish poop at the bottom of that pond because it was never a fish pond when we were built. It was a water feature. So there's nothing down there to help clean the
How did
pond.
the fish get there?
People started
People
dropping them
petting
in.
pets, they drop their pets in,
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
didn't want, yeah.
we did
And
not
the
have,
turtles?
yes,
It was never, it
Yes.
was never intended to have any animals in it.
yes. So
What an interesting
it's-
story.
this is, and I always tell this story because it's funny, when I was cleaning the pond in 2010, this little boy came out and he's like, "Hey lady, can I help you?" He's like, "Can I have my turtle back?" And I was like, "I don't know what you mean by that." He's like, "My mom gave me a turtle for my birthday, my dad made me put it in the pond."
Oh my god.
And I still remember that poor little kid wanting to come back and get his turtle.
I wonder what else
People,
so
so you know, the sidewalk's a safety issue,
Yeah.
the clean water's not a safety issue, it smells bad. I mean, it's one of our focal points at City Hall. We use it for a lot of different events.
yeah.
And to be honest, I wouldn't recommend from engineering, say, let's just clean it, because in 5 years, we're gonna be cleaning it again. Right?
Yeah.
It just, because
And it was
there's-
$1 million to clean it
It
the
will
first
be-
time, right?
no, it's
Be this
close to
go around.
5.
Or, yeah.
But it's, you know, it's 15 years later, environmental regulations have changed, just the testing alone, if we're gonna bite the bullet.
This
I
would
think-
clean out the entire system. And
Well-
how much maintenance does it take to, well, what's the maintenance cost moving forward after this project is completed?
Well, then you'd have to ask me that question, right? Off the top of my head, I don't know, but they're estimated, I don't have the numbers with me because I wasn't expecting that question, I apologize. They're estimated to go down because now we're gonna have one system that just cleans the koi pond, a
Okay.
totally separate system that just cleans the, it's gonna be chlorinated. the pond by the lake. And so there's gonna be that lack of where, right now, all that sludge that you see in the pond is going through our mechanical system.
I keep pointing to Link.
I'm pointing.
Well, I think it would be helpful to know.
And so right now, I mean, right now the guys are doing as much as they can, but they can't clean the tile anymore
Yeah.
because, I mean, everything is.
Yeah.
So before we had fish, the guys used to go with wire brushes and chlorine and clean the tile and clean the grout. They can't do that anymore, so you see that whole thing just collapsing. The new tile that are gonna go in are gonna have a epoxy grout that's resistant to our hard water. So it's a little more money up front to pay for that, but it'll be much more beneficial
In the
run
long term,
maintenance.
yeah.
We are probably going to hire a company to maintain both systems rather than have staff do it. But even that would probably be a cost savings, because, you know, I don't know if you've ever been here when Doug's been out in the pond with his waders on. Yes.
I did not know that somebody goes like that.
Yes, they do.
But
Especially after the light up the,
Yes, so light up the
Light up the
lake,
night of
yeah,
that,
light up the lake. So right now, you know, they do the best they can. They drain it as much as they can. They try to get out as much of the stuff as they can, but we're at a point now where it needs to be completely drained and everything.
No, I hear you. So I think that it makes sense for us to move forward, but you know, it'd be helpful to know what the maintenance cost would be. And then when you mentioned the tiles, is there opportunity for us to create some sort of art piece or display?
so we're
to
gonna
put it-
do the donor wall, she mentioned.
Yeah, donor wall,
That's-
but you
that's
said
what
like in a
it's gonna be.
digital, or did you, I thought
No,
you
no,
said
the
digital.
donor wall is in the next phase.
The donor wasn't.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that will.
No, but I was talking about the tiles that were removed.
That's what she's doing on the website.
No,
I
Yeah.
think she's talking about the actual fountain being some art.
no,
Oh,
sorry,
I'm
let me
sorry.
clarify.
I
So,
apologize,
no,
overspeaking.
let me clarify if I'm not clear, about the tiles that you said are falling and breaking
Oh,
apart and you're going to
right.
remove that and find the owners. Is there opportunity for us to keep those tiles and place it somewhere like an art piece, as in like a donor?
What was
wall?
the number of tiles? I forgot, you told me the number of names was.
Oh, there's
exorbitant
over
number.
1,000, over
There's
1,000.
On the floor?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've seen that.
It's like
Yeah.
1172.
That's why I was surprised,
Yeah,
the
it's-
number is
yeah.
super high.
It's a really high
Really? I
number.
feel like I only saw a couple.
No,
on the
No,
floor.
no.
there's,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so where the subcommittee landed was, we're gonna try to get a hold of as many people as we can to
give them their tiles.
give them their tile and then create something like you're saying on the website where people can go and say, you know, what this,
That's where my
this is
tile
what my
was.
tile was, it's almost like
Oh,
an
but
interactive,
ultimately it will be demolished, like
Yeah,
if
yes,
they don't come
yeah,
and pick it
if
up.
they don't come pick it up.
Many of them are demolished.
I mean,
Or
they're
many of them are
cracked, they're
now.
broken, the grout underneath them is bad, and honestly, the last time we checked, and that was before COVID, just to get them re-etched was $70 a tile. It was an egregious amount of money.
So we're gonna, in the next phase, do a
Yes.
donor wall that has all those names so that they don't lose the benefit of having their names acknowledged for
Okay.
contributing, but it just won't be in tile form. It will be a plaque of some sort in the city hall or something. There was very elaborate design that they did originally, and we had to pare it way back, and so the donor walls in the second phase, as the seats are, and some of the other pieces.
Yeah,
that
the
we-
donor wall in the outside lobby is gonna be similar to what we have at the library,
Yeah,
where people are gonna have the opportunity to buy a chair, buy a bench, buy a tree, with, you know, and then have that pretty donor wall.
yeah,
like we
similar
have.
to
Yeah.
kind of like how Rec and Park has, that you can purchase benches and stuff. I just would love to see more art around the city, and so like, even thinking about the tiles and things like that, that we are going to demolish, maybe there could be a call for an artist and say, what would you do with
Oh, well,
these
actually, this is
tiles?
really quite artistic,
Yeah.
what the walkway is gonna look like is gonna be some blue tiles, as if there's water coming through the walkway between the two things.
Oh, no, I hear you. I'm talking
So-
about the tiles that for the previous donors.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
a call for an artist to come out and say, what would you do with these tiles? And then they come up with a structure or something, and then we can place it in our city, in a location, say, in honor of these donors. That's a further vision of art though, in
yeah.
art though, not budget committee, but more
Yeah.
for art, yeah.
And 1,000 tiles on that too.
Break it down to mosaic pieces.
Yeah, the
you know,
only,
things
and
like that.
I understand exactly what you're saying, I'll just let you know, there's blue and there's black. It'll be a blue and black, those are the colors of the tile.
Yeah.
Just blue and
And
black.
the maroon.
Oh, yeah,
Burgundy,
it's like a burgundy, oh, I call it brown, but
Yeah,
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 but I
yeah.
do understand what you're saying.
Just throwing it out there.
I don't know of any artists, but.
Yeah.
Or where we put it.
We can think about it.
Right by the location of where we are, right by the fountain and in between.
Yeah, you've got this other,
You know where the ballot box
No,
is?
no, no, but where's the new flooring that's gonna go in is very artistic, and so it's got this blue, this color scheme.
Right.
That might clash with the old color scheme, so we'd have to.
Yeah, we
Take a
can,
look at what the color.
let's think about it, yeah, and-
Look at what the colors,
yeah,
color scheme is under the new architecture.
cause I think a space that would be good for it is maybe near the ballot box, you know, where folks are standing in that area, right by the big screen. Near the bike area where I park my bike, there's a lot of space there that could be an art fixture right in between that area.
So we're getting a little bit off agenda.
Yeah, we are, sorry, I was just going along with.
Let's, yeah, and so, you wanna move the item to allow this to
Yes, please, move to, sorry.
reallocate the bond project funds to the dome.
Moving 4.3, the reallocation of city hall pond and fountain rehabilitation project, motion.
Okay, second.
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Thank you. Yes,
Okay, 4.4 is approve additional funds for the existing purchase order with BMI Imaging Systems for digitization services and indexing of city archives.
Good morning. So just about 2 years ago, in November 2023, City Council approved a PO with BMI Imaging Systems for roughly $336,000 to scan all of our documents, hard copies, into digital format. Back then, how we arrived at that number was we went around, BMI, myself, and each of the department heads. We looked at what one banker's box looked like, how many pages were approximately in one banker's box, and then how many boxes the department had. So it was a really rough estimate. We also had filing cabinets full of documents that we kind of roughly said, okay, well, how many of these documents can fit in how many banker boxes, and this would be how many boxes. So we arrived at the 336 number. 2 years later, we're about 85% done with the project. We're hoping to be done by the end of this calendar year. but we are short, about $50,000. So at the time, even though the PO was for 336,000, we allocated 350,000 from ARPA. So there's about 13,000 still available. And then if we add the 21,559 from the planning ADU project, and then another about 16,000 from my IT budget, we can arrive at the $50,000 that we still need.
Questions?
No questions for me. I think that we should complete the project actually, and with the 50,000 and like that, there are funds from ARPA that could be allocated to it and the unspent ADU and then IT also allocating those funds towards that project to complete it. I think it's a good idea to move forward.
Is that a motion?
Motion to approve. Motion to move forward.
Oh, public comment.
Yeah.
Sorry. I keep looking out there. I see these boxes going by me. But no public. Okay.
As we speak, they are here.
Yes, I was about to say.
Yeah.
They gotta be working on this right now,
Yeah,
so
I think
I'm
it's
seeing what's
important.
going by.
It's important to have our hard copies digitized. It's easier for folks to be able to get the information immediately, especially with how technology's moving nowadays. I think there's I know of other municipalities that have done their digitization a while back already, years ago.
We started this, what, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago?
I mean, we have documents dating back to 1961, so.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. And motion carries. Next is, I guess, information on review budget at a glance.
So we brought this to the budget committee last November, and just due to the timing and due to some of the changes, the committee at the time said, hey, can we make some, can you make some edits and can we bring this back a little bit sooner using the fiscal year 25-26 information? So we went ahead and did that. We're bringing it back to you today to review the budget at glance. Again, this is based off the adopted budget and some of the feedback that we received from the committee last year. So again, I know that committee member Law wasn't here. There was another, on the front page, there was another graph and table which we replaced with a more budget, a general budget calendar instead. We changed some of the wording around some of the pictures that we had in the previous year and update the information for 25-26. And again, the whole point of this was how much, obviously, if you were to look at the 300-page biennial budget, a lot of good data. But a lot of people aren't gonna look at that much information, and it was our goal was to, hey, is there a way to simplify it, make it a little bit more digestible, easier to read? The original goal was to get it to 2 pages, but we included Measure K, which made it 3, and provide the public just a snapshot, in essence, of the general fund, which includes Measure K. So this is the revised version. Again, looking for any feedback, questions, comments on the current version.
No, this is an improvement from last go around. I'm glad if we had to go to 3 pages to get Measure K, I think that's really important for the public to see, so I'm glad we had to do that in 3 pages. I think that's a good idea.
I think overall it's really digestible for the public. When I first looked at this, I really liked it. It really showed what our budget is, our goal, breaking down our general funds, how we utilize it, and also the timeline. So for the community to be able to just take a quick glance at this, they can understand what we're doing in the city, where our funds are going, and how much revenue we're generating as well as expenses. So I think this is great.
The only thing, the only question I have is, and I wasn't sure I saw it, did we have the fund balance somewhere to show what our reserve looks like? Or maybe we don't wanna do that.
Well, that was the graph that
It was,
the former committee, that was what used to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah.
And we got, you thought it wasn't, the information wasn't good enough, so or didn't provide the information that you were looking for, that's why we replaced it. So we did have it, that's what that was one of the requests that the committee had last year to replace,
yeah,
actually.
I was going back and forth in my own mind again about whether that's good to show or not, but
Was there a
if you
reason
would,
why you wanted to have the reserve show or replaced? I guess because I wasn't here the first
It
time. around,
wasn't
so I didn't
necessarily that it
understand.
was replaced, it wasn't providing sufficient information for the public to understand. And so that's why it's replaced. And I just go back and forth because some people would want us to spend the reserve down on things. And yet we really want to maintain it for one, for the debt service, one for economic downturns.
Yeah.
Cash flow, and so try and explain that all. You know, that's why I go back and forth with it. It's good to show that we have a reserve balance in case of a downturn. On the other hand, people will say, why are you reserving that much? You should take it down, but because we sit with what, 15 million right now, and
Lowest. I mean, the one, Jessica's gonna hate me for even offering another suggestion on this change. And then if it's even possible, because this is, don't get me wrong, I love Excel, but this is not through Excel, so some of the graphing and options are not as,
Is it through Canva?
yeah, through Canva. So there
Yeah.
are some limitations on Canva of what we can do. I mean, if we could do, well, I'll ask Jessica if we can. If you think it would be helpful, we could maybe add a general fund balance as it stands as of, well, June 30 is not, 2025 is not audited.
right,
It'd be 2024 data. We could basically show the general fund balance at 2024 with the little over $10 million, reserve.
Yeah.
Um,
our reserve.
the required reserve, like that's set aside by council, and the undesignated portion of that, Jessica, is that,
That's
I
gonna
think
shake
it's
our head.
gonna fit on,
Well, I think if we do include, I think to
or
your
we add a
point-
sentence. But I don't know if the sentence does.
Yeah, no, to your point, I think we should actually show the reserves, because I think that's helpful for the community to understand that we do have reserves and that we are utilizing it for any unforeseeable circumstances or things that we need to cover. I don't know how we could envision it on here, maybe on page 1 and just kind of making it smaller or expanding it on.
Well, you might be able to
Page
take
two.
that, the photograph that's on the right, that's the biennial budget picture.
On page 1, yeah.
Yeah,
Remove that.
and expand, widen the top two, our budget, our goal, and then make the area down below different with just a separate line showing the reserve. Maybe as bar chart with cash flow piece, economic downturn piece, and then the 115 trust, and then extra. If you remove that right photograph,
Yeah, I see what you're
move
saying.
that up,
And then
and
use
then you
the-
could just have a bar chart down below all this that had breakdown of the reserve.
So let me do it this way. We'll see if we can, we'll fiddle with the general, to fit in a general fund chart into this, and we'll run it by the city manager for his blessing before we put it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in Canva, but I know that when I was playing with it was, I don't know, maybe I'm sold.
No,
I didn't,
it
it wasn't, it's
I
not
mean, it
as,
takes some
it's not as easy as just moving things around
So
in
one-
Canva.
One thing what we could do is create it in Excel, like take a
And then
snippet of
plug
it
it.
as a photo.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this chart is actually from Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took it as images.
Snippet.
yeah, so I've used Canva before too, so you can insert like images thereafter, but you gotta kind of fiddle with it so that it looks better. But I agree with you, Sue, in regards to removing that picture of the biennial budget piece and then just moving the lines up and saying our budget and our goal and then adding another chart right below, because it does make more sense. We don't need that photo. And also we don't need the other one, the photo that says Pleasant Hill at the bottom. You can even remove that as well. Right,
Yeah,
and
so-
then just put the link to the website.
Yeah, so if you just give us the flexibility to play with the logo
Yeah.
and we'll run it by Ethan
Yeah.
to bless it. And we'll add something in regards to general fund.
Just to be clear, we're going off the FY 24 because that's the audited number, so just.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
wanted, it
Yeah.
will be the most current, which my question was, does that provide an inconsistency? Because obviously the numbers we're showing are 25, 26 budgeted numbers, the others are 24 audited, we don't quite have that 21, 25 audited yet.
Well, you
So-
have, you could put in budgeted reserve,
Yeah.
what the budgeted reserve is, just as easily as because you've got the general fund breakdown on 25-26 budget, there's no. We don't have, we don't have perfect numbers for that yet either, because they're not audited, so we could just say budgeted fund reserve at the end of.
Okay. I just-
25-26 or the beginning of 25-26, whichever one you wanna do.
I just wanna make sure it's as apples to
Yeah.
apples as we can, or if it's not, that we're clear about
Clear,
that. We don't want people adding apples
Yeah,
and oranges together.
So what I've seen for reserves is what we look at is the year that it ended with, and then in the beginning of the year what you start with. So you
What's
can
the
put-
same number?
Yeah, it's the same number, I know, but I mean, like, to clarify,
Yeah.
like, if people are confused, like, where are we today? It ends
Yeah,
up
I
being
would
the same
probably
number.
do.
So we did the chart, at least through my experiences, so then that people can understand that. We ended in the year, for example, 256 million. This year, we're starting at 256 million, knowing that the rest of the reserves weren't placed anywhere else. But we don't have to do that and can further confuse folks. We can just say this year, we're starting out, as Ethan, you mentioned, it's 2024, right?
Is the
Well,
audited
the
number.
last
It's the
audit
audited number.
verified, that's the number, it's been.
I would just put the budgeted reserve at the end of 25-26, based on, I would just put that down there, because you've got the 25-26. People see that the expenditures are more than revenues. And so it would be helpful for them to see that at the end of that 25-26, despite the fact expenditures exceed revenues, that we still have a healthy reserve, and so that's what I
Yeah.
would, that's what I would put in.
But for the UAL.
Yes, but for the UAL, but okay. We don't have to be that obvious about
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, you can see it though, the per
Yeah, you can see
unfunded
it, yeah.
actuality liability based on the general break, that chart right there, so I think that makes sense.
Thank you, we'll figure it out, I appreciate the clarity, thank you.
Okay. Looks good.
And then with that change, then we'll work with Jeff Gillette to publish it.
Motion to move 4.5.
You don't have to, that's
No,
a,
just-
just a, that's a information item. I have to read that.
Okay.
Alright, and we're just setting the next budget meeting.
I think this was the quickest budget meeting we've had. Are we looking at November?
Yes, we still, I
Yes,
know
we-
Anne has them.
I have an item that needs to come to the budget committee early in November.
Cause I know we scheduled something for December already, right?
I probably will have it. Budget too,
You're gonna have an item too?
using PEG funds,
Second meeting in November, even the 17th.
Using what?
PEG funds.
17.
Public
No, no, so I mean,
education
I'll
for John.
probably
Before
go
Oh,
for-
okay. Sorry.
Okay. Is the week of the third a possibility, November, that first week? Basically a month from now?
Yeah, I can't do Thursday morning. But I can do Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning.
I can do Wednesday morning, so long as we end at noon.
Okay.
November 5th.
8:30.
8:30. What's our start time?
9 or 10. That works.
9 works better for you.
Yeah.
Do it first thing.
So Monday, November 3rd?
No, Wednesday,
November.
November 5.
November 5th, sorry.
At 9 AM. If that works for everyone.
Serve at the pleasure of.
And we do currently have December 11th tentative schedule, because that was the day the artists could do it as well. At 10:30.
That's December.
And I
Do
think
I have that, on my calendar? What day is that?
December 11th.
December.
Oh, yeah, I got it on the calendar. Ooh, that's,
I don't actually, oh, I do have that.
that's, isn't that County Connection? No. Yep, that's the 18th. So that's Transpac. Alright, well, I'll just have to.
Well, if you needed to move that date, I'm open.
Yeah, again, if we move it, it's gotta be sometime that week.
It could either be the 10th early AM.
I can't, I've got MTC on that Wednesday and Friday, so I'm in the city both those days. And the 9th is Caroline.
Okay.
here at 10.
We can do the 8th if you wanna do that,
I can do the 8th.
if you need to move the 11th, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I could do the budget
Oh,
committee,
right.
so I've just got Transpac at 9, but it should be done by 10:30, or I'll just make sure they vote on everything they need to vote on and then leave, so we can leave it on the 11th, I'll figure it out with Transpac. Hopefully it's not a lengthy meeting. Okay, all right, I will adjourn the meeting.